Technology is often hailed as the means by which humanity has schismed from nature and transcended the uncivilized and primitive coil that changed the rest of life to base appetites and instincts. That is the current scientific conclusion in our Cartesian worldview. Other organisms aren't us. Therefore, they are a lower species on the hierarchy of human centricism. The further we advance in technology, the more conflated that idea of human superiority grows. The introduction of the internet and wireless communication has vastly changed our world. We've obtained the ability to converse instantly over vast distances, share images, recordings, and news. Most importantly, though, the internet has brought humanity closer to the level of plants. The thing we consider to be our greatest technological invention, heralding in the so-called information age, is nothing plants and fungi haven't had for hundreds of millions of years. We've discovered the beginnings of electrical communication, one of the earliest forms of communications in the universe. Information carried by energy. Plants and fungi have a special relationship called a mycorrhizal bond, association, or connection, whatever you want to call it. The roots of a plant or tree interconnect with the underground network of fungal mycelium. On top of chemical communication is the ability for electrical networking across an entire forest in some cases. It is often thought of simply as nutrient exchange between fungus and tree, which is still true, but it's also so much more than that. Even mycologists struggle to label it as it is, probably due to scientific pressure to ensure animals and plants remain as animals and plants and not individual conscious beings. Trees and fungi can stay in constant communication, much like we are doing with phones, computers, and TV, only their communication is much more effective. An electrical impulse can carry information beyond shared language. It would be like when you send an email to someone, they receive and read it only in the binary literature, comprehending everything including the personality in the message. Science is reluctant to use too much humanistic terminology when describing plants and fungi because we view them as lesser beings. Mycorrhizae is sometimes called the wood wide web, but always with an asterisk, explaining how that term is dangerously close to humanizing it. But that is only true in so much that it's beyond human technology, not behind. Trees are power stations. They combine solar power, wind power, and hydraulic power with complex chemical reactions. Their leaves generate high amounts of voltage through wind and rain and sunlight. This energy can be used for many things, including, of course, communication. This is also why trees can be so prone to lightning strikes. I would even go as far as saying that a tree can produce enough electrical energy to generate a lightning strike in ground-to-air lightning. Meditating under trees is as old a practice as humans are. In fact, stillness itself is synonymous with meditation. It is to emulate trees, because trees are highly energetic beings. Imagine meditating in place your whole life with feet rooted in the ground and hair grown out to absorb as much sunlight as possible. Religion itself originates from plants and fungi. The internet is not an invention, but a discovery, and I believe we are not far from discovering the means to communicate with plants and fungi, assuming we drop the Cartesian pretenses and posit more animistic scientific postulation. How are plants conscious? They are intelligent, have personality, and actively engage their environments. They are clever, competitive, and hold vast quantities of knowledge and energy. There have been numerous tests into plant consciousness that are generally ignored, but it has also been the standard viewpoint of most of humanity prior to Christianity. And it's not something humans decide. We don't choose that plants are conscious. We can simply ignore that they are or not. Whatever you believe in terms of the beginning of life on Earth and then evolution, the world could not sustain life without plants and fungi. They were the driving force of early evolution, so much so that all animals derive from fungi and plants. It is their intelligence that pushed their own evolution into mobile creatures, to diversify resources and to spread seeds. It is not God that we owe our existence to, but plants and fungi. They are the stewards of this earth, not humans. We are breathing, walking derivations of mycorrhizal symbiosis. We maintain the core structure and function of fungi. Our skin, brain, and other organs are a combination of specialized components designed to process and handle different roles to maintain the body's health. Our stomach is a brain of its own. We house billions of microbacteria and fungi. Our very skin is nearly identical to fungal cells. We are electrical nerve roots with a spinal stem which replaces the role of the tree trunk. In comparing animals as they are, without human categorization methods, they are closest to lichen, one of the most baffling organisms science struggles to explain. Here, we have a growing body of fungi that is also made of plants and microorganisms. Lichen can include 3 different kingdoms of life, but most often a fungus and an algae. They are symbiotic in a way that questions how we think about individual organisms, about ourselves. We are symbiotic. Without all the bacteria in us, we would not survive. Without our close connection to plants and fungi, our very ability to consume the fruiting bodies of these organisms, we slowly die. We can change our very consciousness by consuming various plants and fungi, what we call drugs. Millions of years before humans arose, our primate ancestors developed a modified ADH4 enzyme, or alcohol dehydrogenase, the ability to convert ethanol into intoxication in the bloodstream. Without the proper ADH4 modification, alcohol is poisonous. And thus began our journey of being domesticated by yeast, grain, and fruit. The agricultural revolution where humans started to settle happened because we craved an addictive substance purposefully implanted in us to enjoy. Addiction is as much an evolutionary tactic as camouflage or mimicry or venom. It's a way to control an organism or species into cultivating that plant. We may farm grains, but only because they told us to. All major evolutionary changes not affected by catastrophic cataclysms were influenced directly by plants and fungi. Organisms started to grow skin, which is really a fungal layer surrounding our blood and organs. Because without skin, the billions of spores that float around us would devour us. Yet our lungs rely on these spores and the oxygen produced by plants, a genius and efficient complement to plants' photosynthesis. Plant consciousness has given rise to a diverse planet. Fungal intelligence has shaped that diversity into effective mobile vessels of the mycorrhizae that run our planet.